my freeform renegades. You are tuned into the Freeform Network. Thanks for joining us for another fun episode of Freeform Radio. I'm your host, Noel, with my co host, Daniel.
Yes, sir. Damn you, you Skype updates, but I'm on here.
Well, thank you for joining us. And then Andy.
It's all good, Andy, and thanks everyone for joining us. And let's get this going, man.
Definitely. Well, it's a nice day here in Chicago. It's going to be a little warm on a Father's Day, but wherever your listeners are, we hope you're feeling relaxed and feeling good. And we're going to just jump right into this with Daniel. So yeah, yesterday we had your son's birthday party, Junior. So why don't you fill us in on how that went?
Yeah, we decided to do something a little different. Um, my wife likes to be imaginary and have different things for different parties and not really copycat a lot of stuff. Oh, and I'm sorry, man. Before I get into it, I was corrected after the podcast that my wife is actually the one that waters the plants, and that I only water it on occasion. So, correction, my wife waters the plants.
They wanted just let the record be shown she waters the plants.
Right, for sure. But yeah, back into the party. So yeah, me and my wife were trying to figure out what we're gonna do. We're thinking Top Golf. We were thinking this whirly ball place that's kind of like go karts but soccer uh, or racquetball kind of thing. So we were just looking at a bunch of different things, and we ended up settling on Dave and Buster's, and it was a little costly, a little more than maybe we were looking to spend, but it was pretty cool. All the kids looked to have been having a blast, and even some of the younger adults, teenagers, older teenagers. It looks like they were having fun going out there to the video games. And then to me, I think that the food turned out pretty good, and there was drinks. There was so it was a good time. Um, so I think Junior said that he enjoyed it. So he did look like he was having fun. So yeah, no complaints. Dave and Buster's, pretty good service. A little on the pricey side, but I think that's just something everybody's got to get used to. Inflation and everything, things are gonna be a little more pricey than usual.
Oh, sweet, man. So did you guys get like, if I remember, they got like rooms or something, and then they get like a package deal or something?
Yeah, actually, we did have a room reserved. So it was just going to be a smaller room. Max people that could fit were 40, which was about the size of our party. So it would work out perfect for that. But for whatever reason, they had a problem where they overbooked these rooms, or they were having a problem with one of the rooms. I don't know if a water pipe broke in it and it jacked it up, or what the issue was. But needless to say, the day before the party, they gave us a call and they're like, "There's an issue with the room. Can we talk to you?" So we
Like,
call.
no.
When I heard the voicemail, I'm like, I better get Alana on the phone so we can both call at the same time, because I got a feeling we're gonna need to make a call or make like a decision on the spot. So we call back. There was a problem with the room. They apologized. They can put us into this open area, but there'd be plenty of space. It would still be private. People wouldn't be walking in and out of it. It would be roped off for just us, and it would have more of a like a sportsy vibes because there's TVs and whatnot. And they sent us pictures. I looked at them and I was just like, oh, it's not too bad. It looks nice. So we told the lady, I like, we'll call you back. We'll talk about it. But I talked to Alana. I'm like, yeah, this even looks better than what we were planning. And she's just like, yeah, I'm cool with it. And I'm like, I think we should probably play bad cop and see if we can
Yeah.
get something off of it. So I called back. I'm like, hey, I appreciate it, that you're trying to accommodate us, but what else can you do for us? The room looks fine, but we got a couple older people that don't like a lot of noise, so we were looking for the seclusion. So because this is our option, what else can you do for us? So they did knock off some money, and they gave us some free tokens and whatnot. And so at the end, I was just like, okay, we got something, and it looks like even a better place than what we were planning for. So Yeah, it was more on the open. It was a roped off like portion of the bar that was only one way to go in and out, which was the way we were coming in and out to the bar section. So it was really nice. I thought it was pretty cool, and I'm assuming that's more for like bigger parties because yeah, not everybody showed up from the 40 that we were expecting. But even with the people that did show up, we had so much room. It was like kind of spread out, and that's probably the only thing that I would say that I didn't like because of the extra space that we had. It was like parties kind of split off into like little islands, where if it was in a smaller room, maybe they would be more interacting and mingling with each other instead of, there's one group over there in that corner and there's one group in that corner kind of thing. But
So was it like a bar vibe, or they just actually like put a rope, or did they put up some like temporary walls? Because you said the other one's more like more privacy, and this one's a little it's more open. So did they put up anything, or they just like literally roped it off?
I mean, well, you got to envision it's like the corner of a room, and
Mm-hmm.
because of the way the booths and the waitress table is, they were able to put a rope in front of it, and that's the only way you can get in and out. And in this area, you could probably seat, I would say, like 60 or 80 people. So it was definitely a lot bigger. Um, but it was like in the corner of the room. So you had the two big walls, and you got the corner of the room. So it had a secluded vibe where it wasn't like you're all in the middle and there's people just constantly crossing by you. So it did look secluded, but obviously the room, it has its own doors, so you can close the doors and just be inside the room. But with the kids running in and out, going to the arcades, people going to the bathroom, going to the bar for drinks, it probably worked out better that it was a little more open, and it gave more of a older teenager, young teenager vibe because of the sports TVs and whatnot and the music, and where maybe in the room, maybe it'd be kind of like, Fossilville, where it's just all these old people kind of sitting down. So maybe in that way, it's a little better, and it worked out better.
Yeah, man, I had a blast, dude. I thought it was great. And like you were saying, there was a lot of screens and stuff. I was like, man, this is pretty cool. Like if they were like massive size too, so it was like
Right.
huge screens. I was like, this would be great, like for a future event that I'm thinking about maybe trying to do something similar, to maybe watch UFC and have a bunch of people over and do that. But the games were cool, man, and you had like the passes to give everybody essentially unlimited games, which I was like, dude, that's it was like hitting a candy store kind of thing, dude. I was just
Right.
testing everything out. I was like, I want to play this, I want to play that, and then it was cool, man. I haven't been at Dave and Buster's in like a decade plus, man. So it was a really cool time, and won a couple prizes and stuff. And yeah, the kids even they played like these Marvel games, and they got a bunch of cards. Like the machine like spit out like some cool collectible Marvel cards. I was like, that's interesting, dude.
Yeah, it did seem really cool. I only played an arcade or two. I was playing the hostess, so I didn't really go around playing too much. But it seemed like really cool. The last time we went to Dave and Buster's was me and Junior during COVID, and that's what kind of gave us the idea. Because it was we had the day off, or I had the day off of work, and he wasn't in school at the time, so we're like, let's go to Dave and Buster's, and it was empty. I mean, granted, maybe it was because of COVID thing, but it was sweet, man. It was like all these arcades. We kind of had the run of the place, so it was a little more packed than that time, obviously, because COVID's officially done and all that. But it was cool, man. I enjoyed it. I don't know if we would do it again, just because my wife likes doing new things, so I don't think it'll fit in. But any of you guys are welcome to steal the idea. Since my wife did it already, she won't get mad.
If I do,
I,
I'm gonna be like, I'm the first one to think about this in this group.
Right. But no, man, the party ended up going cool. Only other thing I did really quick for me is I was getting the backyard ready, man. I don't know if I spoke about it, but I'm trying to put a shed in the backyard. Um, with it being just a single car
A she
garage.
shed.
Is that what they're calling them? It's
That's where you
just,
go drink wine and chill.
oh, dang. No, man, I'm not talking about like a Netflix and chill shit, you know.
She shed, dude. Yeah, you just go back there with your little patio furniture and drink some wine to relax and unwind.
Oh, like with the mosquito nets and stuff? Is that what you're kind
Uh,
of talking about? Or like
I don't
those
know.
like where it's like towards the back door and they got like a little patio area
Yeah,
for.
exactly.
Are
Oh,
you
okay.
saying she shed like
She shed.
SHE?
Yes, yes,
So like a man cave but for women.
yes.
Ah, gotcha.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. No,
Never
this is
heard
more.
that.
No, I never heard of it in that term, but I've seen them for sure. But no, this is more a utility shed, kind of like like a little side apartment that's for all the crap that you don't care about, like the lawnmower, the snow blower, a bunch of shovels, bunch of gardening stuff, and maybe some coolers and grills and whatnot. Since we only have a one car garage, we don't have a lot of room, and right now I've been parking my truck outside just because there's just too much stuff in there. So we're planning to put a shed up, and the shed, you could put it on the ground, but then you got all this grass and gravel and stuff coming through the floor. So I was talking to my dad about it, and he's just like, "Well, let's just put a concrete pad out." So we decided what spot we're gonna put it at, but before I put it there, I need to prep the ground because there were some bushes there when we moved in. But right away, it was like the first thing I did when I moved in. I chopped these bushes down. They were really close to the property, and the guy said that because the siding was kind of like moldy on that side, where it's got that like green mold from like trees and stuff
Hmm.
on the sidings itself, and he's just like, yeah, the reason why is this guy put this bush too close. So as soon as the real estate guy said that, I'm like, first thing I'm doing, I'm cutting this bush down, and if anything, I'm gonna move it back or put something else, but I'm cutting it down. So yeah, I cut it down, and my dad's like, yeah, let's put it here. So I'm like, well, I better clean out the roots because all I need is for my dad to come. We'll buy the cement bags, we'll get the gravel or whatever, and we'll start digging, and we'll run
You gotta put
across.
sand and like gravel and before you drop the cement. I mean, it's pretty labor intensive.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm thinking, I'm like, I better prep some of this stuff up before my dad gets here.
Hmm.
So I start digging into the ground and I run across a root. So I'm like, all right, let me pull this root out. And then I dig a little bit more and I run across another root. And dude, it took, no exaggeration, like 6 hours
Yeah.
of just digging in this area and running across root after root. And I'm not talking about those like little roots like you planted a tomato plant and there's like the roots that you pull up and it's, a little like baseball size root. No, man, these are like, man, I'm gonna grow a tree because nobody's telling me I can't go anywhere. I'm going wherever the hell I want, kind of root, man. And it took me a minute, man, to clean up the whole area. Because the other thing that was ringing in my head is, even though I haven't lived at my parents' house in a while and I haven't really done anything with my parents, but it just kept bringing back to my childhood when my dad would just yell at us for doing stuff and things not being correct. So I'm like, I better get this thing prepped and done right. So when my dad comes, he won't be like, is he ¿Qué chingados es esto? What's all this shit going on here? How do you want to put cement here? You got all this crap here. So,
Oh yeah, it's. I did a little project with my father-in-law. I put some cement down, like four,
all
maybe
right.
like 6 foot by four,
For
and
your grill,
like
right?
for the grill, for a little grill, just to put it. And then uh, I started having flashbacks of all the shit I did when I helped any type of small cement project, but this one's a little bit bigger. Pulling all this shit out, digging it out, cleaning it up, fucking throwing sand, laying this and that, and then we had like a marker to make like a style design, and then like mixing the cement and all this bullshit, and that was just like 2 days, and it was just a little piece of cement, and I was just like, yeah, fuck this, I'm too old for this shit. I thought it
How
was
did
gonna be like a whole day. Nah, man, it took us like 2 whole days.
how did it turn out for you?
It's good. The problem now, it's I think we used. The problem is we went. He went kind of cheap on me. I went to buy cement, and he came back. Oh, I found a bag of cement in my garage. Like, who knows how old that thing is? And it's like a little bit off, different color from the one that we used. So I'm like, whatever. And now it's there's a lot of like weeds growing around it, so I constantly we trim it and I throw all this stuff on it. But overall, I mean, I'm pretty happy. And then I was like, I could extend all this to the side and put like a privacy fence, but part of me is like, eh. And my wife wants to do like bricks, but I'm like, man, I'll fucking pass out and die doing all that shit.
Right, right. No, you're right, man. It was labor intensive. Luckily, it was kind of cool that day, so it wasn't too bad. But still, man, it's work, and you maybe think of it in your head not being that bad, but once you jump in, it really is a lot of work. But yeah, man, talking about work, Andy, tell us about this party planning. Was it a lot of work, or did it go smooth sailing, and you just contracted a party planner like these girls that hire like wedding planners to
I'm
come
just
and do
like
their
you,
wedding thing?
Dan. I was just like, I like we were party planning for my son's birthday, and my wife wanted to go big, and I'm like, oh, let's do it at a park. And then like everything, man, it just got bigger and bigger. And then uh, the hiring people and all this, and balloons, and hearing people's critiques. You should do this and not that. And I'm like, at this age, like I don't. I'm willing to pay for certain things, and sometimes we run into issues with that because our time is too valuable. I want to be putting like I want to be laying down cement, right?
Time is has a value to it as well. Yeah, for sure.
Especially at our age now. But overall, I think so. We rented at the local park district at the city that's nearby. This is where I'm like, oh man, like this is like it's a for people who don't know we're Mexican. And there's a the Mexican kids parties. There's a tendency to drink, so I was gonna bring a cooler full of old styles and Miller Lights, and I was gonna take my Yeti and roll up there, just leave it in my trunk and pour everything into the Yeti because my wife says, we can't have no alcohol here. I'm like, yeah, 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 whatever. And then so the day before, she's like, I'm being serious about the alcohol. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, like they made me sign paperwork. They're like, if we were gonna do alcohol, they would let you, but you had to fill out all this other paperwork and get permit. They give you a permit. That you probably had to buy like special insurance or something. I'm thinking.
Wow. Hmm.
So I'm like, fuck that. She didn't tell me all that, and then they're like, you could get fined. So I'm like, like
I wonder if
whatever.
it's like a fishing license and you gotta like apply for something.
I don't know. We had to get a permit. We rented out the spot, and we get there. There's people there, right? But uh, going back to like the drinking of the alcohol. So we're doing that, and then I caved. I'm like, all right, I won't take anything. Like I don't want to deal with this. And sure enough, dude, the day of the party, which was yesterday, somebody from the city came, and then they're like, who's in charge of this party? And I was dealing with some stuff, and my wife was talking to this guy. And they're like, how'd you get? They started asking her like 20 questions, like, how'd you get back here? Because they have like a gate to enter, let your vehicles in to unload the stuff for the party. And he was like, yeah, how'd you get a key? Did you get it from this person? And my wife's like, I don't know. My husband picked up the key at City Hall. And he was asking her 20 questions, like, who the fuck is this guy? And then he goes, well, I just want to make sure everything's running smoothly because, he said he was a village trustee. Then he gave my wife his card. And I'm like, this motherfucker's coming up here to see if people are drinking or something. So it was kind of like weird to me. Like, this is a fucking, like, I guess I was kind of shocked. Like, people just, somebody from the city just rolling up there asking to see, like, what are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. And then, like, how'd you get back here? I think he was just spying on us. Or am I being too paranoid?
Maybe he was looking to make a quick, like $50 fine for somebody drinking or something.
I'm pretty sure if we were drinking, we would have to bribe him or something. But that was like the biggest thing. And then along with so the gate, we kind of left it open because we were in and out. And he's like, "You gotta make sure this gate's closed. You gotta make sure this gate is closed." I'm like, "Yes, I'll be closed, dude. Like, relax. We understand." And but overall, and then the everything the we got a taco guy and a face painter. The face painter, I mean, she did a good job, but she was kind of in a rush, and people let us know that. And then she showed up a little bit late, and then she like did her thing. And she tells my wife, "I gotta go, so thank you." And then she's like, my wife's like, "Don't, so what? Like, we sent you the down payment. What? How much do we owe you?" She's like, "Just sell me the money," and she just like took off. And my wife's like, she's leaving. I'm like, "Okay, did you pay her? Do you need the money to pay her?" Like, nah, she said Zell me. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. I'm not gonna fucking Zell people. Like, I got the money right now, dude. So I started like going after her through the parking lot, and I'm like, excuse me, face painter, dude." She started walking faster,
Dang.
and like this woman thinks I'm fucking stalking her, like or something, and she like would stop and then like take off again real quick, and then I'm just like, man, what the fuck? I was like, so I finally just stopped yelling at, and then she finally got to her car, which was already running, like it started. It was running, and then I go, "Oh, excuse me," and she's just like, "I'm Graciela's husband," and she turned around, she was like, like she was all fucking scared, and I'm just like, I want to pay you for the job today. What? It's this amount, right? She goes, "Yes, that's correct." And I handed her the money. "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's okay. Like, here's your money." Like, and I just like walked away. Like, yeah, I want to be like, "Why you fucking running away from me, man?" And then I told my wife, like, "Hey, text this woman so there's something in writing saying we paid her," because she was like literally running away from me, and like I want to have something on record that we paid her. And then she's like, "Oh, okay." She texted her. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's because I was pressed for time. I had to go to another party and this and that." And I was like, "Man, we shouldn't even pay this woman."
Yeah, I wonder if she was because you said she was running late, so I wonder if it just keeps cascading to all the other parties that she has to do.
Well, yeah,
So
I
sooner or
think that's
later
what it was.
she has to cut a little bit of time from each one to kind of catch up.
So she probably just overbooked herself.
I think that's what happened. And then she was just in a hurry. And then like everything, when you go to those kids parties, right? She's just sitting there, and it just takes one person to get face paint. And she made balloons, like balloon animals. And people are like, "Oh shit!" Like the kids are like, "She does that," and people are getting face painted. The kids, and then the kids were parents were doing that, and then she started making the balloon animals, and then the kids are like, "Oh shit!" Like, "Yeah, man, this is awesome." Blah blah blah. And then she had a line, and then she made this really complicated animal like an octopus. And guess what? All the kids wanted octopuses. So, and then she made like three of them, and then she goes, "I'm not making no more." And then, like I think like 20 minutes after that, she was like, "I'm out of here." That's when she just took off. And
Damn.
and like people were telling me like, "Yeah, we would tell her we would want this," and she just kept looking at her clock, at her watch, looking at. I'm like, "Okay, so what did she make you the animal?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." Then like, what's the problem? But
Now,
I don't know. People, I think they're just being overcritical.
now, did you do anything else? Because you had, I know when you were contemplating the party, like a petting zoo and maybe a few other things. Did you do anything else?
No, I mean we were talking at one point. We did talk about a bouncy house, but the park had a playground, like a huge playground that looked like a castle. So
Oh,
a lot of the
nice.
kids were playing there, running around. I saw the kids just going crazy. I'm like, that saved us a couple $100. Um, Other than that, that was it. I mean, I took a cornhole game, and my wife bought some others, like some games, but the kids, uh, that was it. The only thing I was afraid of then, I kind of talked to you about it, the taco guy. We told him 50 people. Ah, man, people went crazy on them fucking tacos. The guy ran out of all them food. I thought for sure then we're gonna run out. He ran out.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy moly! Dude, because the other thing about this is that your party and my party were about at the same time.
yeah,
So that the plan was, since ours was ending at 3, your taquero was going to be there until 4, I think.
yeah,
So I told my wife, I'm like, all right, if everything kicks out of here on time, we book, we pay, everybody's gone, we'll jet over to Andy's party and we'll get a taco or two, and then we'll just hang out. Because I'm sure since it's a park, they got it maybe for the night. I'm like, I really don't know. I didn't get
yeah.
a
We
chance
had
to
it
talk
till
to you.
7 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I didn't get a chance to talk to you because you had this week off. So I'm like, I have no idea if at 4 they kick them out or what's the deal. But I'm like, let's jet over there. And by the time we left and paid and a few people straggling, we didn't leave until like it was almost 4. So I told her, I'm like, there's no sense of rushing over there. Those tacos are gone anyways.
Yeah, dude. So he stayed. He got there a little bit late. He got there like at 1:30. So we had an hour of cooking, or like I forgot, but he was there from 2 to 5. That's the
Oh,
feeding time.
okay.
But and then my mom came, and her husband came later. I told my mom like around 4, like you better get some tacos because people were going. I was telling my wife last night and this morning, like, man, people are going fucking crazy. And then
But they were good, I'm assuming.
yeah, I didn't hear no bad word about it,
You
and I
didn't
told my
have
mom,
any?
yeah, I had some. I
Oh,
mean, I
okay.
had al pastor,
They were
and I
no
had some
TBK,
carne
but they
asada.
were good.
Nah, there were no TBK,
But
but
it's but it sounds they were good if people were dogging them out.
nah, dude. Like I said, they were street tacos, is the American community likes to call them, with cremas, you know.
Ooh, nice, nice.
And I told my mom, like, you bring your Tupperware? She goes, yeah. I'm like, you better get some tacos because I think they're gonna run out. Like, you serious? Because her husband hasn't showed up? Like, yeah. So get as much as you want. And she went up there by like 4:30. He was done. He ran out of food.
Damn,
And then
that's crazy.
and we bought pizza. We bought Little Caesars pizzas, 6 of them, and then like people already eating, and then they finished. They killed all those pizza. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I didn't. The only thing I didn't get to try at that party was the cake.
Wow,
The
wow.
cake I heard was good too. We had cupcakes. Um, but the taco guy, I tipped him. I gave him an extra 20. I don't know. I'm like, is that cheap?
No, to me, if you ran out of food, well, if you said 50, did you have 50 people?
Yeah, well, that's why. Like, we had like people RSVP and they don't show up.
Right.
We had a lot of those people, but a lot of the kids were eating the tacos. Were eating they had the chicken ones.
But I guess what I was going to ask is if you told them bring enough food for
He told them
50
for 50 people. Yes.
and if you had under 50 and he ran out of food, to me that ain't a tip. It's like, bro, you got to give me some money back or you better come back tomorrow with some tacos.
I think we had more than 50 because
Oh, okay,
my
okay.
wife wasn't planning on the kids to eat,
Ah, they were
but they
playing
were
like the
eating.
pizza.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So I know like 3 guys that had 12 tacos.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They were telling me like, "Hey man,
Holy shit.
what's the limit on the tacos, bro? You can have as much as you want until they run out." He told me, "Ya me chingué como 9." And I'm like, "God damn,
Dang.
man." And then he went back. He came back with another 3. Then I heard another guy like, "Yeah, bro, these tacos are good. I had like a dozen." And then I heard from other people. I know at least like 3, 4 people. 3 people that had a docena, and then I know a lot of people had like 9, 8 tacos.
Damn, weren't people filling up with the rice and the beans and shit,
No,
man?
well, you didn't have no rice and beans,
Oh, I thought you
and
had
that's
mentioned that there was
no.
some sides or something.
The guy. we could have got them for an extra like $60, but my wife's like, "Ain't nobody want that shit. We're gonna have pizza." I think if we would have gotten the rice and beans, we would have had something left over.
Yeah, because I thought I know it was still in the beginning of the phase, but you were saying that there were some taqueros that had like sides of
He had
onions and
chips.
sides of this
No,
and
yeah,
sides
dude,
of that.
he had a shitload of salsas. He had chips. He had cebolla, limones, the whole
Oh,
works.
okay.
It was a full spread. I mean, it was really good. But I would recommend them. And the other thing we had, the drinks. What do you think is healthier, Gatorade or Capri Sun juices?
Probably Gatorade, I would think.
Yeah. So that's what I told my wife. So she bought Capri Suns for the kids and like these little Gatorades. And she took more of the Capri Suns, and she's like, just bring one of those cases of the Gatorades. Nobody drank the Capri Suns. Everybody drank the Gatorade. I like, I'm like, yeah, because people think with Capri Sun, they instantly think it's just like packed with sugar, you know?
Right. To me, I've gone to kids' parties where they have both, and my always go to. I've never read the back, so it might even be Capri Suns are healthier. But to me, just mentally, I think a Gatorade being more healthier than Capri Sun.
Well, on the packaging, on the Capri Sun says like now with less sugar. So I think they know that's a concept that people think it's just fat packed with
Right.
sugar. But overall, everything went great. My kid loved it. I'm glad everybody that was able to show up showed up, even though some people weren't able to come. But we had a good time. Uh, yeah, I mean, it would have been cool if you guys were there, but it's cool.
For the next
You,
one, man, we'll
uh,
have to we'll do a
For
combo
sure.
birthday party, man.
yeah, that was one more thing. It was we celebrated my sister's birthday, our anniversary, and my kid's birthday all in one.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
But
that's good.
yeah, let us know what you guys do. If you guys would hire a party planner, because I think maybe next time I would. But let's go see what's up with Noel. I see you watched John Wick 4. I know I haven't watched any of the John Wick movies. Um, yeah, people tell me to watch them, but I don't know, man. Is it? I know they just keep cranking them out.
Yeah, I would say that it's one of the better series that he's done. Um, I think I like it almost better than The Matrix. The Matrix was a unique concept, but the last movie of The Matrix that just recently came out, I didn't enjoy at all, really. So to see that
The
John Wick,
remake,
it wasn't a
or is it
remake,
a sequel?
it's a sequel. So it's a continuation of the story. It's part number four of The Matrix. Like I forgot what they call it, Resurrections, I think.
Right.
And I didn't really like it, man. Honestly, I think they really went in the wrong direction with it, but it is what it is. John Wick 4, I was like, well, let's see if they keep it going, in the right direction. And I would say they did, man. There was, some scenes that I would have changed, but ultimately, the actions there, the dramas there, there's a story that they're trying to wrap up, and I feel like they did that. And yeah, I believe there will be a number five. Um, I don't want to spoil anything for those that haven't watched it because it is relatively new, but I believe there might be a number five. But anyway,
Is
I
it
do.
a comic Noah, or is it a book series, or is it? I mean, I don't know where this
Uh,
guy came from. Do you know?
yeah, I don't, man. I really don't. I didn't like I like the movies, right? I just didn't dive into it to like figure out like its origins or whatever. So I'm not entirely
Mm.
sure. It might just be, just a movie series, not like anything else, like a book or anything. But Keanu Reeves does his thing. It's got Lawrence Fishburne in it, which is what reminded me of the Matrix because they had this moment where it's like Morpheus and Neo, just like imagine like an alternate universe, and it's a similar moment. So I thought that was cool, kind of like almost like a reference to Matrix, and it's got some notable returns, so the good cast in it, and if you've seen Jason Bourne, it's like a modern day, version of that, where it's just a bunch of assassins trying to kill the ultimate assassin, right? Like Jason Bourne was like the ultimate spy, and there was a bunch of spies hunting him down. It's like the same thing. There's a bunch of people trying to kill John Wick. He's got a bounty on his head, and he's got to, get to a certain place at a certain time, and everyone's trying to stop him. And so it's pretty cool. Cool car scenes, cool fighting scenes, action sequences. It's pretty good. I'd recommend it. I'd probably give it like 7.7 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen some of the other John Wick movies. I haven't seen this one yet, but yeah, the little bit that I've heard about it, it's not that bad. So yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing it and probably just watching the fourth because I'm pretty sure I watched the first three.
Nice, yeah, yeah. They're pretty good. Andy, you said you hadn't watched them, but yeah, I would say watch at least the first one, man. See if you vibe with it. Um, it's got an interesting premise, as to why he becomes or how he got to this point in chapter four. Like
Yeah.
number one, it kicks off pretty
I
well.
know. I think a couple weeks ago, a couple episodes ago, we talked about the most recent movie I watched was like new movie is Creed 3. I watched it and it is what it is, but like to me I was kind of disappointed in the way they made it sound like it made it look in the movie like that's the last Creed, but the way the story was like I think it's worse than Rocky 5.
Yeah,
But
I can
going
see
back
that.
to new movies, like that's why I'm like I have a I guess I'm trying to have an open mind, but it just like that's why I feel lately with new movies.
Yeah, I hear you on that. There's actually been a lot of new movies this year, that are like big budget, big name, like really hyped up, but not many have like lived up to the hype. One of those is the other one that I saw, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania or something like that.
Hmm.
Forgot how they word it. It's like Travel to Quantumania or some shit like that. But ultimately, man, it's a forgettable movie. I like the original Ant-Man, and I did even like Ant-Man and the Wasp. But this third one, I I wasn't really feeling it, man. I didn't like the direction they went in, and I just thought it was lacking in what the first two had. They also changed the actress that played the daughter of Scott Lang, who's Ant Man, or Paul Rudd, who's the actor that plays Ant Man. And in the whole Marvel series, the Avengers and all that stuff, in the movies that he was a part of, in his little story that they had for him, he had a daughter that he was kind of estranged from. He didn't really see too often, but like he really wanted to be a part of her life, and he looked out for her and all that. And there was the actress that played this daughter. They ended up switching out for this other actress. I forgot. I think her name is maybe Catherine Newton. I had to look it up. I'm kind of can't remember exactly if that's her name, but they changed the actress and to get like hopefully more recognition, I guess, because this the actress that played her in this movie has had more acting roles, and but a lot of people didn't like it because they were like, it kind of suspends belief because you're used to seeing this certain person play this role, and then all of a sudden the next movie it's a completely different person, so it kind of takes you out of it. And I agree, they focused more on her as well, which I was like, okay, is that the reason they changed her? Because they're gonna give her more lines and more acting, like, or more scenes. And I was like, all right, this isn't Ant-Man anymore. This is like just going in a different direction, which is, the whatever they call it, I think Phase Four is more Marvel's calling it, and I'm like, I haven't really
Yeah.
liked it at all, to be honest. Like since Endgame, I haven't really liked any of these movies. The Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness didn't like it. This Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't like it. The new Black Panther. Sorry for everyone. I know people liked it. I didn't really think it
No,
was
no
that
one liked
special.
it. No, well, a lot of
So
people
they,
shitted on it. Yeah.
yeah, and so that's
I
that,
think
man.
the Marvel stuff, like everybody was into it because it was so good, and then I think it just kind of ran its course, and I think people are just they want something new, and maybe I don't want to say original, but yeah, I think they're kind of just like, yeah, I paid my dues. Endgame was so awesome the way it ended it, and now they're like, eh. And then you have the shows now, like on Disney Plus, and people are just, I think they're just done with it.
Yeah, well, the new direction they're going in, it's not the best writing, man. Like it's just not intriguing. It's not, you know, it's not captivating me. Like I just don't care anymore.
Hence, like that's why I think like I know Danny went to see, or you saw it too. I haven't seen. I do want to see it. The Super Mario Brother movie. Not that it's like original, but it's something new. And then the story made sense to a lot of people. And then there was that nostalgia thing. Um, so hence why it made so much money. And the people, the Marvel thing is just the comic book thing. Even with the Flash, I'm reading reports that like Batman is good. Everything else is like kind of Batman couldn't save that movie, and it's just like I think people just like they're done with it.
Yeah, I think after
Yeah,
Infinite War, people kind of grew soft to Marvel.
Yeah,
I
pretty much.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame too because they were on a roll in the beginning, and it just kept getting better and better in the Avengers movies. They kind of had like a stale movie with Age of Ultron, but then Infinity they had the Civil War, which I thought was cool. Infinity War was good, and then the End Game was even better. And they were like wrapped it up, and it's like, all right, well, I guess that's it. The only thing I didn't like was that they killed Iron Man. I thought it should have been Captain America, like in the comics. So I was like, all right, that's kind of cheap.
Well, just an FYI, Disney's struggling so bad with they're trying to get money. There's rumors that the way they ended Endgame or whatever or Infinity, that they're thinking about there's a way to correct Tony Stark's death. So there's rumors that they're gonna make a movie or something like that to correct that's where he doesn't die and like restart like a whole new timeline or something. That's been like the rumor the last couple weeks.
I mean, they better do something, man, because they're bleeding money, man. These movies aren't cheap, dude. I didn't look up the budget for Ant Man and the Wasp, but yeah, this Quantumania one, I'm sure it cost a pretty penny. So
I think yeah
it,
that lost money for them too. Yeah,
yeah,
Disney's hurting right now, so everything they've pumped out lately hasn't done the best financially, and I think it's starting to catch up with them.
I mean, yeah, at a certain point it will, man. Like just keep throwing money and not making it back, and it's not even just the budget of the film itself; it's the marketing and all that, which they do a lot of for most of their movies. And I'm looking here. The budget was $200 million. The box office was 476. So if you take into account the marketing's usually like double the budget or about the budget. Yeah, they probably either broke even or just barely scraped by with a little bit.
I mean,
And
just real quick, Disney's so bad that there's rumors they're trying to sell Lucasfilm, so all the Star Wars and all that, they're trying to sell it to the highest bidder.
yeah, I mean, dude, it's like everything they buy, they just destroy, and then I don't even know. Like, have you seen the new or have you heard about the new Indiana Jones? I
Oh
heard
my
like
god.
Yeah,
I heard it's not
it's a
good.
train wreck, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, dude, everything they touch is just they just destroy, man. It's crazy. It's like it's like the writers are just shit, man. Which actually leads me to my last thing. I started a compost bin. Um
so you're burying all your Marvel
Nice.
movies.
that's right. It's added to the collection so it
Uh-huh.
breaks down better. Yeah, so Daniel, thankfully, he put it together because I'm not like the engineer of the family, he is. So I'm like, oh yeah, I bought it from my mom for Mother's Day, and like it's been there for for a couple weeks, and she has been telling me like, hey, when are we gonna set it up? And I'm like, I don't want to mess it up. I spent a decent amount, not a lot, not too much, but like it wasn't cheap either. It was affordable, but it cost some money. So I was like, I want to make sure it's done right, and I know Daniel, he's good at assembling stuff. So thankfully he did a good job, and we got it out there. My mom already started it up. It's got like these two um reservoirs, whatever you want to call it, where you put
Yeah,
the
like
dirt in there.
compartments. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And it's got like the vents, so you can like open it up and let it breathe, and then throw the stuff in there. Um, and she's already been doing composting for a bit, but not like in an organized way. So I was like, this will be perfect for her because she could throw all the the eggshells and
Mm-hmm.
potato peelings and all that stuff. So um, it's gonna definitely help her garden, which she's been wanting to do this for a while, but she just didn't really know what to buy or what to get. And I told her, I'm like, this is perfect right here because it's two compartments, like Daniel said, and it one of them, they both spin, but wait, the whole goal is to start one and have the other one like in the beginning stages, so that the first one will be ready to use, and then by the time you're finished using the first one, the second one will be ready to use, and just kind of cycle back and forth, and you're kind of making a new compost each time, and you'll always have something ready to use. Is essentially what the point of this is. And so this just got set up a week or two ago, around, was it Memorial Weekend? I can't, no, it was
Yeah,
the
I
week
think
after.
it was something like that. Yeah.
It was recent, but I think in the hot weather that's coming our way, it's gonna probably get kick started and be able to get things going. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
that's
it looked cool, man. I've been wanting to do a compost bin for a while because we're kind of like my mom. We just have a little bucket that we just throw stuff in there, and then we try to mulch up the eggshells and coffee beans and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I'd really like to get into it. So I'm kind of curious to see how it works out and see if it works out well for you.
oh for sure, man. I'm excited to see as well. I've seen a lot of videos in the past of people doing stuff like this, and they keep it going even through the winter, because that was a concern I had, was how is it going to be in the winter? Is it going to freeze? And people have already strategies on how to keep it from freezing, because it does create a lot of heat in there, so it should already be pretty well preserved, the heat in the during the winter. So I'm interested to see. There's a lot of science behind all that stuff about how it helps the garden, so, I'm excited to see how it goes. But speaking of science, that kind of leads us into our article of the week. All right, so you guys know I'm big on science, big on medicine, all that stuff, and I usually try to bring an article, regarding that every once in a while. And I think I got a good article for you guys here. It comes from freethink.com. The article is titled "New Gel Destroys Brain Cancer in 100% of Treated Mice. It also prevents the deadly cancer from coming back." This article is by Kristen Hauser, came out in April 29 of this year. And just really quickly here, I'm going to kind of see if I can summarize it. It's not a super lengthy article, but it does have a lot of details, so I do recommend you all read it. I'm just going to kind of go through it quickly here. Johns Hopkins University researchers have developed an experimental brain cancer treatment that not only cured 100% of mice that received it, but also trained their immune systems to fight future cancers. So the challenge was that a glioblastoma is a rare but aggressive type of brain cancer. Only 5% of patients live for more than 5 years after they're diagnosed, and the average survival time is just 12 to 18 months. It's considered the deadliest kind of cancer. The standard glioblastoma treatment regimen starts with surgery to remove as much of the tumor as possible, and after that, patients typically undergo chemo, radiation, or a therapy to kill lingering cells. While this approach can buy patients some time, it's almost impossible to kill every cancer cell, and as a result, glioblastoma almost always recurs, and it's considered one of the deadliest cancers to have. So this new treatment is a hydrogel that's applied to the space left in the brain after a glioblastoma tumor has been surgically removed. So I guess after they remove it, this gel that's nano-sized threads of paclitaxel, paclitaxel, an existing FDA-approved chemotherapy drug used to treat certain cancers outside the brain. So these threads serve as delivery vehicles for patients, an antibody that binds to CD47, which is a protein that cancer cells make to avoid being attacked by white blood cells called macrophages. When the antibody sticks to cancer cells, it interferes with that protection and lets the macrophages target the cancer. So they do a study here. They tested it on mice, and it looks like this really promising. It says here the hydrogel combines both chemotherapy and immunotherapy intracranially. And it says here that the brain cancer treatment seems to do more than just kill the cancer cells missed during surgery too. And it says on day 80, after the initial tumor implantation, the researchers re-challenged any surviving mice with tumor cells. When they checked those rodents again 20 days later, they could find no signs of cancer in the brains of those that had been treated with the fully loaded hydrogel. And it says these results strongly substantiate that a robust and durable anti tumor memory immune response was established by a single localized hydrogel treatment. So they also went on to say we usually don't see 100% survival in mouse models of this disease. So it's really promising. It's pretty much revolutionary breakthrough here, and they're kind of just downplaying it a little bit because when they test on mice, it doesn't always necessarily translate to humans. I mean, we're obviously very different species, but it gets you to think that this might be possible, maybe with some tweaks, maybe with some different changes, that they can make this applicable to humans. And they still say here, still, if the results of the mouse study translate even somewhat to humans, always a big if, the hydrogel could provide new hope for people with this deadly disease. So that pretty much ends the summary here. I want to leave it open to you guys. What do you guys think about this?
I thought this looked pretty cool, man. I had never heard about this gel thing, but yeah, they kind of towards the end of the article bring up a couple different scenarios. There are test studies where there was a group of where they didn't do anything except give the cancer. They did a group where they did not remove the cancerous cell, but they still gave them the gel. And then they did a group where they did this and they did that. They went over like a few other different scenarios and the percentages of survival rating. And yeah, man, it made it to where this 100% is even more so impressing. But you're right. I mean, it's mice. Even though mice is the first step, I'd be curious to see what's the next step of this and if it still has promising results.
It's like anything with cancer. Like if you catch it early, you get a better survival rate, and usually the I think the article talks about they cut and then they give you chemo, try to get as much as they can, just to do double check. And I think for this, if that's the case, that it kills that much, if you catch it early, yeah, I think it improves it a lot. And then there's also so many different forms of cancers, and like it spreads so fast. Um, and like usually the standard treatment for all these is just chemo. They cut you, and then they give you chemo. Like my cousin, I had a cousin in Minnesota who passed away a couple years ago. He had stomach cancer, and they basically cut a big chunk of his stomach and they gave him chemo. And then they said he was in remission or whatever. And then like a couple months later, it came back and it like spread everywhere, and he passed away. So, and he was young. He was like in his 30s, and so I don't know. Like, but I know that's a different form of cancer from what that's on here. So in America, especially, that's like the standard thing. I don't know about the other parts of the world. And then like when you read stuff like this and how it kills cancer and stuff, I always wonder like it might be true, it can be true, but the way we do here, it takes forever to I think to get approved any type of some type of formal treatment unless it's a vaccine, right? But yeah, they that's like standard like for everything, man. And like you gotta do some outside the box thinking. I think they're in the rest of the world they're pretty open to that, but not here in the United States. And I mean everything in the article looks promising, like it kills 80%, and then that's a big number. That's a big percentage in this country.
Yeah, no, we'll see how soon it can translate over where they start doing trials with humans. But at least it's something in the right direction. Whereas a lot of other diseases don't really get this kind of progress. Where even in mice trials where they're not able to fix it. I know I actually heard about a documentary recently with Michael J. Fox and Parkinson's and all that. And while there is like some progression in like treating all that, it's not on the level of like what they're saying here, which again it's only for mice, but if it does translate to humans, I mean it's just ridiculously like it would be amazing, like a
Oh yeah,
remarkable breakthrough.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think cancer impacts so many people, so many families. It's kind of sad to think that everybody could think of somebody that's had cancer, and any kind of progress to mitigate that and make it where it's more like the flu and it's kind of simple and generic and it's not killing people. I think we got to do whatever we can to progress the study. And I don't know, man. It I think there might be something in my lifetime where cancer would be treatable, or at least like like 60% of them or something like that. So hopefully it does come to that one of these days coming up.
yeah. I mean, I think in a couple episodes ago, I mean, we talked about somebody said that humans are going to live forever, that there were to this breakthrough,
Right.
and like with I can't think of the word, the science we morph with like machines and stuff like that. That's going to help us. Part of me thinks that that is true. I just don't see. Yeah, I mean, if you look at how we take care of certain diseases and stuff here in this country, it's just like it's to me it seems archaic. Like they've been doing the same thing forever, you know. And then, especially with cancer, and then you look at other diseases and like the transplants that we do. It's like there's improvements. You've seen them do changes, even with like weight loss and like they got stuff for all that, but cancer's always like it's been like to me it's been like the same fucking thing, and they just cut you and then they give you chemo, and they're like, well, we'll see what happens unless you catch it like early enough, and that's the whole key. I know people doing the physicals. I don't know if you go a physical when they do the blood work, if they look at some spike in your blood for like some type of you have cancer or nothing. Usually that's how they know because they see something that doesn't in your blood that's high, and then they're like, "Oh, this is something we need to take a look at or go see a specialist or whatever."
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what markers they're looking for, but it could be something that stands out, and it'll like get them to do further testing, and then they like you know focus singularly on whatever problem area they think is the issue.
Yeah,
Um,
like when we went to like a month ago, my wife, I had to leave work early because my wife wasn't feeling great. She the she felt like she was gonna pass out, and the room was spinning.
oh
So we
no.
took her to the hospital, and they to me the first things they were looking for was like if she had a heart attack.
Right.
And they did blood work on her because I think when something happens, something spikes in your blood, some type of protein, and they were looking for that, and that didn't happen. But we did get the bill. I almost had a heart attack, even though we
Jesus.
maxed the deductible, so I still had to pay a little bit, but nothing like what they charged. But yeah, it's going back to cancer and those diseases, and they're like there's so many, right? Like with the brain, lung, liver, stomach,
Yeah, I think that's what makes
pancreas.
it complicated.
It's
Yeah,
like
for sure.
and you think it's all the same, but it's apparently it's all different. Some more spread faster or something, and like it's a freaking mess. And that's the thing. Like I don't know. I'm assuming when you have something, there's something in the blood. There's a marker that tells you like you got something or go get this checked out. I'm
Right.
assuming that's what they check for physicals, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just went in for some blood work, and I'm 40. I'm gonna be 46 this year. So I did bring that up. I'm like, hey, should I start screening for cancers and whatnot? And he's just like, all right, we'll do the prostate one and take a look. And so as soon as he said prostate, I thought, all right, get ready. There's going to be a finger up, up the back end.
Uh-huh.
And no, man, it was just a blood test, and they were looking at this blood level to
Yeah.
see, what level you came out, and if you're on the high or the low or what's going on. And knock on wood, everything came out okay. So yeah, it's. I think a lot of it does come in the blood, or at least that's their like early detection.
Yeah.
And since a lot of people don't regularly see the doctor, now I see my doctor every 6 months to get blood work just because I'm diabetic. So
That's a bit excessive, Danny.
I mean that's on him. I think he's trying to get paid or something. I don't
You
know,
must have
but
great insurance. Yeah.
right. But either way, I would think that because of this regimen for checking my diabetes, that I would be there day one, like, oh my God, this is kind of looking suspicious. Let's take a look at it, kind of thing. But who knows? I don't know.
There's an action figure rolling around on the internet, Wilford Brimley, and it says diabetes on the top. It's in his old man in his sweater vest.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh man, but yeah, that's all the time we got this week, guys. We want to thank you for listening. Remember, you can follow Freeform Network on Twitter at Freeform Network. Send your questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. Any questions or comments you have on this week's episode or past episodes, send them there. We'd like to review them, read them out loud if possible, and then we'd like to interact with some of our listeners. Check out our webpage at freeformnetwork.podbean.com. There, whatever platform, however you consume our podcast, there's a link to it there. If it's somewhat viable and available, we're on there, unless they don't get bought out or changed out. But YouTube, Skype, or not Skype, YouTube, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, whatever, we're on there. Like, subscribe, comment. That helps us out in the long run. I see our subscribers on YouTube went up a couple this past month, so we're trending in the right direction. And do whatever you can. We love interacting with you guys. For Freeform Radio, we got Daniel.
Yes, sir, man. I'm hungry, and unlike Andy, I had a bunch of hamburgers left over, so it's hamburger time.
And we got Noel.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. We appreciate you.
And it's all good, Andy. We want to thank you for listening. And don't forget to tell your friends about us. And we'll check you out next time.
That was cool, Dad.